Hello, welcome to this guide then to the Media Studies A-Level Coursework Element Component 3. Today's video is going to focus on checking your DVD cover to ensure it includes all the elements the exam board are looking for. First of all then, we're going to focus on the DVD cover itself and the bullet point list or checklist the exam board include for what to include in each part, the front cover, the spine and the DVD back cover. Please pause the video to take a look at these bullet points and check off your own response in its draft form to check you have included all the elements the brief stipulates. Now let's take a look at the mark scheme. There's three different ways your coursework will be graded, one of which is on the screen at the moment. Create a cross-media production that meets the requirements of the set brief, including suitability for chosen form, genre, industry context and target audience. This particular element, one of three elements they'd be looking for, is worth 20 marks. You can see the mark scheme for 17 to 20 marks, or roughly the A grade or A star grade, on the left hand side. I've highlighted the most important part for today, that indeed your product does address all requirements set out by the brief, that is all the bullet points you saw on the previous screen. This is the criteria for kind of the B grade or low A, and again you can see three bullet points they're looking for: good realization of the brief is likely to engage and position into an intended audience, and products address almost all elements of the task laid out by the brief. And lastly, our C grade requires a satisfactory realization of the brief, a satisfactory realization to engage and position intended audience, and most of the tasks, or most of the main tasks completed, but some of the details may be missing in the final product. So when it says details that might be missing, it might be you forgot to add the actors' names on the top of the DVD, it might be parts of the billing block are missing, it might be that one of your products has the production company logo absent. So to get the C grade, nearly all the elements of the brief should be used to the best of your ability, and then it's looking for the way those are presented in the most industry professional way possible. Let's take a look at the DVD cover for humans then as our examples. You can see it's got one main image in the centre that's been carefully photoshopped for maximum effect. You've got the original title. It doesn't have the age rating or names of actors in this case. It also doesn't include the age rating on the spine, but it does include the production company logo, the original title on the spine. It doesn't have at least two production images as the brief dictates. It does have 4 thumbnail images. It does have the promotional blurb, and it does have the billing block. As you can see then, if this was a piece of coursework, 3 things are missing from the brief, and so this could only achieve a C grade in terms of fulfilling the brief's requirements. Obviously the other elements such as the professionalism shown in the DVD design, the use of images and tropes linked to sci-fi in this case are all present and correct, and it does deliberately link to its target audience. So this will give it a top band 3 or arguably a C+ or B- grade overall, simply because some of the elements of the brief are missing. And of course technical info there, sorry I forgot. Okay, let's study the professionalism used in the film Atrocious then as our example. You can see it's got a high level of production design, lots and lots of elements linked to the horror genre, and the overall effect is enticing. You'd want to go and see this quite cheaply made film based on the DVD cover. It's been well planned using lots of elements of the horror genre, the stark and sort of electric blue colour, the blood red, pervading not just the image but some of the writing as well, and you've got that strange almost television like static style font that's a bit different to many other products on the market. If you look at your own DVD cover and compare with this one, how similar is it in its professionalism? Would you say it's comparable? Would you say it's markedly different? And if it is different, what changes would you need to make to up the level of professionalism, the level of realization that you've used compared with this DVD designer. Here then are some classic errors that you might have made when constructing your DVD. Well, one of the easy ones is a block taken from an existing DVD. So you could have easily copy and pasted something like this from a real DVD. Now, at first glance, it might look professional and just as real as a real one, but it's when you scan the details. The film starred Sylvester Stallone, was called Bullet to the Head, and has Jason Momoa in it. All of those are signs then to the exam board. This is something you've taken from another DVD cover. In fact, it's a DVD cover, back of a DVD cover taken from the film Bullet to the Head. Otherwise, your own film title would be where Bullet to the Head is actually written. It's fair to say you won't have had Sylvester Stallone and Jason Momoa actually being in your film, and so naturally this would cause some concern in terms of plagiarism of somebody else's work. If in doubt, create your own DVD back cover, please. Do not take from existing text. Error number 2, using a font that's very simplistic or looks blocky in print or is overcrowded with pictures. Here's a classic example. You've got the 3 actors' names taken from the top, and you can see they're kind of crowded in at the top of the space. They need to be lowered down a little bit, and they need to be sort of made slightly separate from the sort of matrix style 10010s there, or the digits. This just looks a bit crowded on the DVD cover, and the actors' names and the film title need a bit of space to breathe, so they stand out a little bit more to your target audience. Number 3, settling for something that's so close to right it just needs some small changes. And as we scan the DVD cover on the right hand side, you can see there are certain things that look really professional, but there are also some things that stand out as just being a little bit off what we might expect to see. The first one is the barcode. It's rare you'd have a DVD cover with this position at the top. You'd normally expect to see it at the bottom. And immediately as soon as you notice that, you begin sort of questioning some of the other details being used. So next up, you've got run-ons in the blurb there, sentences that seem to end over halfway through a word or have been shuffled down. This could be about the way the text was brought up on the screen, or it could be something that the designer just simply didn't realise when they printed it out. So please take a look at how the blurb is positioned to make sure that all the words are full as they appear, and there's no strange paragraphing errors that have crept in. You've also got the technical information at the bottom, which is the same size as the blurb itself, when it should be much smaller, as it indicates it's much less important. It's another element then, although it's been present correct and clearly typed in by hand, it just doesn't look right in terms of its presentation on that back cover. There are other elements here you might notice as well. We've got a 4th thumbnail that's clearly been sort of grabbed in later without a board around it. That's been positioned quite badly to suggest this really isn't a professional production we're looking at. We do have lots of strong elements here. This is not a bad DVD back cover at all. It just makes some small errors that could be changed in a couple of minutes just to add to the professionalism of the product itself. So some key things then to consider in order to improve. Be critical. This may be something or a product you invested some time in, but are ready to make some adaptations to suit the brief and the grading you were given. The advice is given to support higher or more professional response, not to cause you more work. So when you get your feedback from a class teacher, take care that they are using the exam board criteria to give you that feedback, and ensure you use it to improve the professionalism of your response. I appreciate that this is more like a piece of artwork than it is a piece of design, as you invest a lot of time and care into it so far. But remember, for a piece of coursework, really it's the grade that's important, to get as many marks as you can to get the highest grade you're able to achieve. Making some small changes that might take you a few hours is surely worth the effort. Number 2, ensure you've hit all the elements of the brief. As you can see, it is set out like a checklist, so please take time to tick off the different elements that you've used to ensure all elements of the brief are present and correct. And number 3, does your response look like a real product that will sell your genre? Be critical of yourself. Okay, look for weaknesses, look for things that just don't look right, and be prepared to delete if necessary and start again. And lastly, can you confidently say what your sources were? What DVD cover designs have you used as inspiration? Be ready to name them. This is intertextuality and part of what you're actually graded for. One of the other other things that's actually on the mark scheme. You should be inspired by particular DVDs that were successful or particular film marketing campaigns that really worked, either in your opinion or simply from their box office. Don't feel scared to think you have to be individual, be unique. No, you're writing or creating for a particular genre that has established conventions. The exam board is looking for you to use these in your work and capitalise on the success that previous products have created. At this point then, think through some of these design elements. What elements from the brief are missing here? What parts would you say are unprofessional? What 3 things would you ask them to improve? To take this as an example, what would you say to this student? In the end, they got a low C for this product. Example number 2, taken from the action genre. Now, the action genre, we'd expect explosions, guns, a real sense of, well, action on the DVD cover. Some of these elements are present and correct, others are not. What elements would you say are missing? Scan the brief on the top left. What's there and what isn't? What parts would you say are unprofessional? What 3 things could you ask them to do to improve? This candidate, again, got a C grade for their coursework folder. Another DVD example here from the horror genre. Once more, study the brief. What's there, what's not? What would you advise them to improve? In this case, this got a B grade overall, as most elements of the brief were present and correct, and the overall realisation of the brief was good. You'll notice how professional this example looks. It's very close to a real one, but it's not quite good enough to get the top band, as the images are a little bit blurry. They're quite hard to make out quite what it's about. And I've still got question marks over exactly what the narrative or storyline might be of the film. Now think about your own DVD design. Have you used all elements of the brief? How do you know? What conventions of the genre have you used? Name 3 and why you use them. What was your source material? What DVD covers were you copying? Is there an element or more than one element that simply doesn't look professional? Be really critical. What may need rethinking now you've done your draft? Thank you for listening then to this review of your DVD cover based on the Media Studies coursework component 3. Good luck with your continuing designs and all the best for your final product.